So Tana just dropped Gemini's Nano Banana as their new AI image generation model. And I already know what some of you are thinking. Why would I need AI images in my note-taking tool? But this isn't about creating pretty banners, although it can do that. This new model actually allows you to turn really dense text information into visual formats that help you understand and visualize your knowledge in a whole new way. I'm Ev, and I help knowledge professionals turn their scattered note systems into a personal knowledge system where everything works together so you can move faster with more flow and focus. Now, with Nano Banana, you can turn anything in your Tana into infographics, sketchnotes, diagrams, any kind of visual format you can think of. And in this video, I'm going to show you all the tricks. I'll walk you through the official Tana commands that make it easy to turn notes into visuals. We'll go through some use cases, and I'll show you how to create your own commands in whatever visual style you want. By the end, you're going to be hooked on visualizing your notes in Tana. But before we jump in, if you don't have time to watch endless YouTube tutorials and you just want to build a high-performing digital workspace that turns your scattered notes into a system that just works, then check out my Tana Fast Track course. It will get you up and running in Tana pretty fast. First, you'll learn all the fundamentals of Tana with the Tana Foundation modules. Next, you'll choose from our 6 core workflow templates that are just simple plug and play. There's not 86 super tasks to deal with. You choose what templates you need to customize your workflow. You also have our TFT community to ask questions and to get direct help from me, plus a load of other resources. Now, over 700 people have taken Tana Fast Track and loved it. So if you want to get on the Fast Track, I'll leave a link in the description below. So I've been playing with this for a few days now, and the thing that surprised me the most is how different it feels to look at a wall of text in your Tana compared to an infographic or a sketch note or some kind of visual format. Like, I've got all of these readwise highlights from books, right? And I've read through them before, lots of times. But when I turn them into a sketch note with Nano Banana, I don't know, things just clicked a little bit differently, right? Connections I hadn't noticed before are starting to form. Sparks are starting to show up again, and it makes sense when you think about it, right? Because reading is one way into your knowledge, but it's certainly not the only way, right? Listening hits a little bit different, visuals hit a little bit different, because each one uses a different part of our brain. So I want you to think about using AI images in Tana, not just as a way to make your notes pretty, although you can do that, but about visualizing your knowledge so it helps you think, not just decorate. All right, let's jump into the fun part. So let me show you how this new image generation works. Now, image generation has been around in Tana for ages now, but what has just happened recently is we've gone from having DALL-E be the model of image generation to Nano Banana, and this makes it so much more powerful. DALL-E was kind of like, you know, let's say AI 1.0. And Nano Banana is like AI like 10.0. It really can create such good images, and not just like, as I said, pretty images, but also really good kind of infographics and way to kind of visualize your knowledge. So let me show you 2 different ways that you can bring up Nano Banana on any node, and then I'll get into some of the commands that you can use and some of the different ways that you can visualize your knowledge. So I have a node here, which is something I'm thinking about as my word of the year for 2026, right? And I've got some, notes in this node, and I want to create a banner, right? So easiest way to do that, now I've already got a banner here, so let's remove that. Easiest thing to do is click on banner and go generate banner image. Okay, now you can add a little bit of a prompt here to get the banner image that you want. Now, I've just said create a banner image based on the word praxis in a collage style. If I go generate, then it's going to generate a banner that I can use in that style. Now, you also have different styles that you can choose from down here, and you can put whatever prompt that you like in here, and you just watch it generate. All right, so, this is a pretty cool one, right? So it's also taking everything from the node and kind of using that in what it's creating. And so I might say, you know what, I want to generate this again. I could update the prompt if I wanted. And the more banners you generate, the more you can just switch between them down here so that you can find the one that you really want. Okay, so it's come up with this one. Now, if I flip between, I think I like this one better, so I'm going to go set banner image. And what will happen is it gets set, And now I have a beautiful banner on this page that is based on kind of the word of the year and all of those notes there. So if you've got different, you could run this on a project, you could run this on a plain node, you could run this anywhere and kind of really create, you know, fairly quickly a nice banner, and it just adds a little bit of aesthetic and a little bit of flavor to your node. Now, you can also, that's kind of the banner, but you can also just generate images. Okay, now when you use the Command K to this way to generate an image, what you can do is in any node, you just go Command K and you just go, let's go generate. Okay, generate images with AI. Now, when you do this, there's no prompt or anything like that. So it's just taking anything from the node and it's kind of like getting a lucky dip of an image. Okay, so I don't use this very regularly, but you are able to do it. Okay, so you can see that it's created just an image. Of a poster, and as you can see, like, I wasn't able to put a prompt in. I'm not able to kind of like change it up in any way, so I very rarely use this Command K create image, but you can do it if you want. Okay, so that's kind of at the very basic level how you can create images with Tana. Now, just also to give you a caveat, this does use your AI credits. What I have found is an image could be anywhere from about 50 to 150 credits, right? Depending. So those banners, they generally are kind of around about 50 to maybe 70 credits. Infographics, which I'm going to show you, can take a little bit more of your credits. So just be aware of that. You can always come in here and go to the AI credit monitor, and that will show you how many credits that an image has used. To make it even easier, what Tana's done is create a few templates that you can install that will create banners in certain styles, that will create infographics in certain styles, or graphic design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to install some of these infographics. And I'll leave this link below to the official templates, but you get here and you just go get template and you can decide where you want to put that template. Now, I have already installed this into my main one, so I'm just going to put this into the playground just so you can see what it comes up with. Okay. And then you'll see this is the template here, gets installed into your home node. And then all that you have to do then, these become available on any node. Okay, so if I wanted a bento overview, it would show up here. Okay, very, very, like, highly recommend that you download these as a starting point, because it'll just get you up and running with images in Tana really, really quickly. So if I wanted to have a whiteboard explainer, let's say, on this template node, I could do that. And it's really easy to run those through the Command K menu. And then in a sec, you'll see a whiteboard explainer explaining this template. And here we go. So now we have, this is what a whiteboard explainer looks like. Okay. And it's basically taken all of the information from the node and it has turned it into an actual whiteboard explainer. Now, that was just to show kind of, how that can work. And I want to show you some specific use cases of each of these kind of different kinds of commands next. But again, if you want to grab the banner pack or the graphic design pack, all you have to do is click that link and use the get templates. It's so quick and easy to get those templates in and to get started with very specific types of images in Tana. Right, so let's jump into some use cases so you can actually see how good this is. So a couple of different things that I use this for is, firstly, I have a whole lot of notes that I call Spark notes. Okay, these are either ideas that I've come up with, or they are things that I've seen on the internet I wanted to save. They're essentially kind of like idea inspiration. Okay, and some of them are kind of very simple, like this, right? It's just a simple statement. Systems, it's just a structure that makes the right behavior easier than the wrong one. Okay, something I want to think about for later. I've got something like this. Again, just another like very simple, like there's nothing else to it. But then I've got some more complex ones. So one here, which is like the mise en place model that I've been working on, and another called the intentional system evolution cycle. Okay, and so what I've been doing is I've actually been visualizing these sparks. So what I've been doing is I've been using the different templates that Tana's provided to visualize some of these notes. And so you can see this is one on why arbitrary goals don't work, one on the dwell method, fatal flaw in personal knowledge systems, which is some readwise highlights, which I'm going to show you in a sec. This is just again a really great way to visualize. So I'm going to come here and let's say we want to run, let's say the napkin sketch. Okay, I think on these two up here. So all I need to do here is go napkin. Okay, and then if we open this up, he's going to look at the contents of the node and then create a napkin sketch. All right, so now I didn't give this a lot to work with, but essentially it's kind of visualized that statement, right? So we've got the system here, we've got the right behavior, we've got the wrong behavior, we've got desired outcome, and structure equals makes right behavior easier. So it's just, again, I might use something like this with, if I do have kind of a fairly short statement or something that I was thinking, as I generate this, it kind of like, I'm seeing this in a different way. day, I'm like, oh, okay, that's an interesting way to think about, and it probably kind of sparked me on some extra things. I kind of also like that this is actually a napkin, uh, which is very fun, right? So let's try this on something a little bit more complex. Okay, so I've actually got kind of a framework here and something that I've been thinking. So for something like this, a whiteboard explainer might work, a cheat sheet might work. There's a fun one here called Cartoon Strip, which I will show you. But let's try the cheat sheet for this one and just see what comes up. So again, all you have to do is Command K and cheat sheet, and then it's going to show up kind of down here once it's generated. And I think about this. I'm going to show you a heap of other different use cases, but imagine you are taking note if you're in a class or you've got a course or something like that, and being able to generate a cheat sheet from that that's very visual and it kind of shows you all your notes kind of in one page. I think, things like this is really why I'm excited about Nano Banana inside Tana. All right, so here's our cheat sheet. And again, this is kind of like, it's not like a heap of information, but there's a core concept here. There's kind of this framework that I've been building out. There's an application and some value. So if we come and have a look here, it's like a very nice kind of diagram of the framework. There's the core concept up here. There's kind of like an application down here. So like really does lay this out. If I was to put this out online somewhere, I could easily use like a diagram like this, and I'm blown away every time. Like this is a literal AI image that's just like, I don't think there's any spelling mistakes. Like it renders text so well, and that's what's so good about Nano Banana. So that's kind of one use case where I'm just using it on kind of like little notes and generating things like that. Now, a second use case that I use it for is readwise highlights. So if you've got a bunch of readwise highlights that are kind of like languishing in a black hole in Tana, this may bring you back in. All right. So I've got a book here that I read called Personal Kanban. Okay. And there's a fair few highlights here. All right. And it's a lucky dip whether I come back to this or not. But let's take something like, let's go a bento over here. Okay, for this one. All right. So we'll come in here, and again, we just go Command K, just typing in bento. And then that's going to take all of these notes. You think about it, like if you're reading a long book and you've got a whole lot of notes in there, this is a great way to kind of like save all of those notes. And imagine kind of like, reading books, generating these images, and then just being able to go back through all your books and like very quickly be able to scan through all of those kind of notes. Okay, so this is our bento overview. And again, this is a lot of notes, and it's taken it and put it into a very easy to understand kind of diagram, right? The 2 rules of personal Kanban, how to establish your stream and flow, limit, work in progress and capacity. Like this, just having this along with all of these notes, like you think about like coming up here and just like looking at this wall of text and being like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. But having this as kind of a companion to get you back into those notes is really, really useful. And you can run this on any kind of readwise note. So that was quite long, had a lot of highlights. This one's, shorter. It's just an article. But let's do something fun on this one. Let's run the cartoon strip. Okay, so we'll go here, cartoon, and honestly, I probably wouldn't use this one myself, but it is kind of fun just to see it again in a different way. And really, the sky's the limit on this, right? You could go and find any kind of way to visualize your knowledge, create a command in Tana, and I'll show you how to kind of update some of these commands, and then be able to generate any kind of image that you like. All right, so this is a cartoon strip. So we've got here the creative struggle, right? Then we've got forging the AI sidekick, and we've got past content, social notes, performance data driven, like this discovery engine, redirected creative energy. Like it's very fun to kind of see your notes in a different light like this. So highly recommend the cartoon strip as well. All right. So that's kind of like spark notes, readwise highlights, but imagine also being able to take your meeting notes and turn them into something visual. Now, if you've been coming to any of my Tana beginners sessions, you'll see that I've been posting these in the Tana Slack channel as a recap from our sessions, which is very, very cool. So this is Alpha's Hour session that I do with my community, and you can see I've already created a cheat sheet from this, right? And so really, really easy to create this and send this out with with the notes. I don't know about you, but when I get like a bunch of meeting notes, sometimes I just don't want to read all of those. And so I think this is a very, very novel way to get meeting notes to, whether it's a one-on-one, whether it's a group call, whether it's, a coaching call. I just think it's a really creative way for you to see what was talked about on the call. Now, this is another one that I created from a coaching session that I had with a client that is a systems diagram. Now, we were having a coaching session about systems and I thought this is kind of better. So you can see that we identified some problems and pain points, implemented some fixes, proposed solutions, and like it's got kind of about action items here. It's like a very interesting way to see what happens. I mean, this meeting was an hour. It was dense. We talked about a lot of different things, and suddenly I'm seeing it in a really easy to understand and easy to kind of like see all of that stuff in one place. So another creative way that I think you could use Nano Banana is if you do any kind of communication. So if you're sending out any emails to people, like group kind of like information type emails, I just think this is the perfect way to be able to visualize something that may be a lot of text. So this is an email that I have that does have quite a lot of kind of text. It's like a welcome to December email for my community, right? So let's say I want to turn this into, so let's say for this one, let's say I want to use the whiteboard explainer. Okay, what's going to happen is it's going to take all of the details from my email and turn it into a whiteboard explainer that they can then have attached to the email so that like it kind of gets people's attention first and then they can read the information later. All right, so I've got here, welcome to December post, and it's got all of the different stuff. And I just think this is so interesting to have in an email, especially for visual people, right? It just really breaks things down rather than reading a wall of text. Okay, and then the final thing, which is actually not an infographic, but it is around generating a banner image for the day. To set this up, it's really simple. All you have to do is add a options from super tag field, and I have a quote super tag, right? So I add the quote super tag in here, and all you have to do here is switch this to random node with this super tag. And what that means is every day you will get a random quote show up from the list of quotes that you have. So today's quote is this. It's from Ash Amberjay. Your days are your art. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it's perfect for something like the day page. Okay. And I have a button that I can then generate a banner image. Okay. And it's based on a certain aesthetic. So yesterday's was based on this. Your mind is for having ideas, not holding them. The day before that, it was be regular and ordinary in your daily life so you can be violent and original in your work. Now, essentially, it's just a command that I created with a certain style, and I'll show you how to actually update some of the commands so that you get your own style. But if I go generate banner, what it does is it looks at the quote of the day and it knows this style that I want, and it actually creates a banner image each day in that same style. Here we go. So now I have a banner image at the top of my page. It's based on the quote of the day. Every one of them is different. And the way that this replicates the style is actually so good. Like, I'll show you exactly the process that I use, but essentially what I did was I went to Pinterest, I found a style that I wanted, and then asked Claude to help me kind of create a prompt that would recreate that style. Now, the way this works, it's a very simple command. Okay, it's based on this command module, which is generate images with AI. This is the prompt that I'm using, and this is based off the prompts from the official commands from Tana. Okay, so I've used exactly the same kind of framework that they use, but I have created in my style. So firstly, it looks at the creative process, like how is it breaking down the information that it's getting. Then it lays out the visual process, what it's going to look like. And then it also has some things in here about composition. And then all we do is just insert the quote of the day in. Okay. Other things that we have in this command is we switch on user's banner image. So it inserts it as the banner. And then I have an image aspect ratio, which I'm using ultra wide, and then a standard resolution. Okay, I just insert that on my day page as a button, and every day I can just click generate image and I've got great banner. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how you can actually create your own prompts or adjust the prompts in a different way. So if we have a look at the official commands for image generation, you can see they all follow this pattern, right? What we'll create an infographic for, the creative process, the visual approach, and then context or source down here. Okay. Now, the first things that you can do here is if you want to change the aspect ratio. So for, I think this is the cheat sheet one, it always creates in portrait. I actually prefer this to be the other way around, which is a 5:4. So if I come down here and I go social landscape, okay? Because I actually prefer it to be landscape. Now, the other thing that you can do is if you don't like the colors that are in there, you could change the colors. You could ask it to do different fonts and that kind of thing. So for instance, in my personal sketchnote one, I've actually got kind of like this color palette. Okay, so when I do that, let's say I want to add that in here. So this has got a dark mode aesthetic, right? So I don't necessarily love the dark mode aesthetic, so I'm going to put in here color palette should be. I'm going to remove dark mode. Okay, and then we'll just check that there's nothing else in here. All right, so let's then go back and generate something. So let's generate our email again, right? So if I come here and I run the cheat sheet, then what will happen is it will come in a different style to the black and the blue kind of dark mode cheat sheet. Okay, so now we've got a little bit of a different vibe, right? So it's taken my colors that I asked it to, and I've asked it to do a light mode. So you can change it up depending on your style, your aesthetic, what you like, those kinds of things. And here's the really fun thing about this. If you see a style that you really like and you want to recreate that as a prompt, then it's actually quite easy. And I've actually got a prompt that you can use to do this. So let's say, for instance, that I want some different banner styles, right? I went to Pinterest and I found a few different styles. Now, this is the one that you've already seen me use. I put that into Claude with this particular prompt I'm going to show you, and it recreated this style. I've also kind of got this one here, which is kind of plainer, and I've got this one, which has some different colors in it. And I suggest just like go to Pinterest, search, banner styles, infographics, that kind of thing. And then what you can do is you can copy this, and I use Claude for this, but you can use ChatGPT as well. And essentially I paste this prompt in, and what it's doing is it's essentially saying, I want to convert this image, and we're going to upload an image, into a reusable AI image style prompt. Use the same structure and wording style as my existing banner prompt, but base the content entirely on the image I uploaded. And essentially this here is the prompt from the banner images from Tana. So all you have to do is take one of the Tana commands that you've already downloaded, copy that and paste it in here. Now I'm going to upload the style that I want, and then I'm going to paste it in here. Okay, so what we've got here is kind of like breaking down and doing like a visual analysis of this particular image, and then it rewrites the prompt here. So I'm going to come in here and copy this, and I'm going to duplicate my banner, and this is going to be called color patches. And within here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to delete those ones, and I'm going to add my own. Okay, so we've got creative process, and then we've got visual approach. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my day page into my AI and commands menu, and I'm going to paste that in here and then just go bring. Okay, so essentially what I'm doing is I'm creating a little group here where I'm going to generate color patches. And as you can see, now I've got a different style banner, right? And so this is kind of a great way just to, have a reference image that you say, oh, I really like that. And then be able to very easily kind of duplicate the commands and create different kinds of images. So that's kind of a banner image, but what if we wanted to recreate in a different infographic style? So let's do the same thing. So let's just copy this into a new chat. Okay, and let's take a different image, which is this one here, which is like a different kind of infographic image, and we're going to put that in here. Okay, and then we're going to ask it to create a prompt for us. All right, so what we've got is a infographic, right, where we've got the creative process up here. So it's looking for essential knowledge from this content. The visual approach, we've got some color palette. I'm going to remove that. That's just from a different chat, and then some composition styles type stuff. So essentially, and that's just because Claude loves to use memory from previous chats. So we're just going to use this part at the top. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the cheat sheet, and we're going to call this just plain infographic. And then we're going to delete those, and we're going to put those in here. Okay. So essentially what we can do is we can run this on anything. So let's say I want to run this on the meeting notes. Okay, so I'm going to go infographic, and I'm looking for the one that I just created. Okay, so infographic. All right, so you can see that we have now a very different style of cheat sheet to what we had previously, just by having kind of an image that we, general kind of like image that we liked, putting that into Claude or to ChatGPT with our prompt and getting it to create the style for us. Okay. Now, if there were certain things that you still didn't like about that, you could tweak the prompt in any way that you want. And so that's how you can create your own different prompts for banners, for infographics, for anything that you like, so that you can really make it your own. And if you like to add your own colors, or, you've got a whole heap of SWAT files that you've had and that you want to turn into kind of visual formats and visual knowledge, you can easily do that with the new Nano Banana image generation. So this really is a whole new way to work with your emotes. Like, you're no longer just reading text, you're actually visualizing them. You're connecting with them and you're using them to build better ideas. But visuals are just one part of the AI puzzle. If you want to see how I use AI to actually structure and expand on my written notes, I break down my absolute favorite prompts in this video right here. It's the perfect next step from this video. And don't forget, if you want to build a high-performing Tana workspace, check out Tana Fast Track. And if you want more Tana content like this in your feed, then like and subscribe to the channel.